Enter the dream reality, dream interpretation, dream analysis, and the dream state. This is Journal to the Dreamscapes. I'm your host, Joseph Vivaldi, and we have a new co-host today. Ricky couldn't make it today. We have Twilight Cricket.
How's everyone doing this evening?
Yes, and we're gonna do a dream for me, Joseph Vivaldi. Twilight Cricket is gonna do interpretation with me, and we're also gonna have a dream of a famous person read by our ace reporter, Joe Beck.
Right on. Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Here was my dream from September 7th, 2009. In the dream, I had to go to school, find a teacher who would grade my papers for the year. Some did records where records were there, some weren't. Then I found someone who did it, and everything was good. Well, let me just explain what the dream was about.
Well, yeah, it'd be better to tell us more like the vibe of the dream.
Yeah, the vibe was, let's just say you're going to school and you're showing papers that need recording for, need a grade for. Some of the papers weren't there, some were there. And it put me in the pedestal in the dream that I might not be graded well for papers that weren't there. But apparently I found someone who would pass me because I did have it work. That's how the dream was.
Alright, well...
It's a school dream.
A dream about school, yeah, but you were also talking about... I mean, it sounds like it's a contest of a grade, right?
Yes.
So picking up where we left off, there's a book written by Gustavus Hinman Miller, 10,000 Dreams, or What's in a Dream. And it's to this source that we go for the first interpretation. Under his listing for school, it says, to dream of attending school indicates distinction in literary work. If you think you are young and at school as in your youth, you will find that sorrow and reverses will make you sincerely long for the simple trusts and pleasures of days of yore. What's going on? To dream of teaching a school foretells that you will strive for literary attainments, but the bare necessities of life must first be forthcoming. This is amazing. To visit the schoolhouse of your childhood days pretends that discontent, it actually has that word there, and discouraging incidents overshadows the present. Now let me just ask simply, does that have any import in how you feel about how that dream relates to your life? Is there some sort of portentous vibe that's in that? It sounds like we wrote it together, let alone...
Well, like, when you might have to repeat some of it, but when you were mentioning that about childhood and everything else, and I was laughing, it was bringing me back to childhood, and I was feeling giddy like a kid. That's why I was laughing.
Well, that's great, but what I read about it, I mean, it literally says literary works, uh, sorrow and reverses will sincerely make you long for the days of yore, the simple trust. And then it's something about discontent before the end, and I was just like, this is amazing. So the dream of a school teacher denotes that you are likely to enjoy learning and amusements in a quiet way. If you are one, you are likely to reach desired success in literary and other works. If you are a teacher, in other words, which you are not. So that's very interesting. What you say?
Okay, I got myself together. That was a very good interpretation for the dream by Twilight Cricket.
Dig it, dig it.
Okay. I also found this from a book when I was reading, and I guess this is part of the reason why I was laughing so hard too. It says, from the book Pocket Guide to Dreams by Philip Cluckus and Douglas Cluckus, it said, the appearance of an old teacher in a dream is a sign that the dreamer requires structure in their life. They also warn us to seek the opinions of others we trust before making an important decision. And when I read this part of structure, I was thinking that, you know, I was laughing so hard because when Twilight Cricket mentioned discontent, I was thinking, hands on, that's what I've been going through for many years. So it's a bit of irony.
But it would be interesting to note if in that particular time in your life that there was an inordinate amount of that.
Oh,
based on what
yeah.
I've heard you talk about, it seems like that's the case.
Oh, yes, yes.
So that's a thing worth considering because it directly relates the way that an interpretation should relate.
Yeah.
Now that one you read, like, what teacher was it in your dream? Do you remember?
It was an older teacher.
So it was the teacher you had in school.
It wasn't a teacher I had in school.
It was a dream. It was a dream teacher.
A dream teacher. It was like somebody with gray hair.
All right. So the point is, it was some. You knew it was a teacher that was authoritarian, and you got your grade from it.
Yeah, I don't know which teacher I got the proof, but I know it wasn't a teacher that I was going to.
Dig it. So.
This is from the Illustrated Encyclopedia of Symbols, Signs, and Dream Interpretation by Mark O'Connell, Roger Airy, and Richard Craze. This is under religious traditions. Almost universally, writing has been linked with sacred tradition in ancient Egypt. It is thought that writing was the gift of the god, Thoth,
Yes.
to humanity, while in India, Sarasvati, the goddess of speech, is also called the alphabet goddess. Her consort, Brahma, the creator god, is sometimes shown wearing a garland of 50 letters. According to the biblical account, the Ten Commandments were presented to Moses, inscribed on tablets of stone. which Moses symbolically broke when the precepts were not followed. Together with the Torah, the primary document of Judaism. That's what it says. It's just a little historic background for papers and stuff such as that.
Fair enough. This is Journal to the Dreamscapes on the Joseph Vivaldi Network. I am Twilight Cricket, an emissary from the Okeanos Network, a parallel brand. And I'm here to tell you a little bit about the Okeanos Network today. Go to the Okeanos Network for audiobooks, go for poetry, go for paranormal research and talk, and soon game design. The Okeanos Network, a creative baptism for every day. Check us out on Spreaker.com. Amazon Kindle for the books.
Joseph Vivaldi, and I'm gonna invite on the podcast Joe Baxter, where he's gonna make a plug for a show, and then he's gonna get into one of the dreams for interpretation. He's our guest reader today.
Right on, right on.
I'm Joe Baxter, race reporter, and I'm going to plug a show called Yesterday's News with Joe Baxter and Kurt. Bearhart.
Yeah, that Curtis Bearhart guy.
Yeah, it's a very good show, and also a book by Joseph Vivaldi, A Soul Warrior's Journey. Good read, check it out. Now that it's said, it is time for me to go to work and do what I do best, and that is Ace reporting.
Well, do you have any famous dreams to Ace report?
Actually, I did some research, and my research is okay. I'm right. I found this from the world of luciddreaming.com. 10 dreams that changed the course of human history. And one was by Niels Bohr, The Structure of the Atom. Niels Bohr was known as I quote, the father of quantum mechanics. Niels Bohr often spoke of the inspirational dream that led to his discovery of the structure of the atom. Son of academic parents, Bohr got his doctorate in 1911 and had gained notoriety for deciphering complex problems in the world of physics that had left his colleagues stumped. In time, he set upon understanding the structure of the atom, but none of his configuration would fit. One night, he went to sleep, and he began dreaming about atoms. He saw the nucleus of the atom, with electrons spinning around, much as planets spin around their sun. Immediately, on awakening, Bohr felt the vision was accurate. But as a scientist, he knew the importance of validating his idea before announcing it to the world. He returned to his lab and search for evidence to support his theory. It held true, and Bohr's vision of atomic structure turned out to be one of the greatest breakthroughs of his day. Bohr was later awarded a Nobel Prize for physics as a result of this leap in creative thinking while asleep. This was from worldofluciddreaming.com. 10 dreams that changed the course of human history. And this is Joe Vector, Ace Reporter. I'm going to pass it to Joseph LeBlanc. Thank you again, Joe Vector, for that report.
It's actually very well read, yeah. I must say, I have not much to contribute to this dream. The dream interpretation book that I'm reading out of is old, and it doesn't have much to say about physics. I looked up science, I looked up a number of different, let's just say there's not much to offer in this particular instance.
Well, let's, this is from A Pocket Guide to Dreams by Philip Cluckas and Douglas Cluckas. It says, and I quote, "One fascination with what lies beyond our own worldly confines means that other planets and stars appear frequently in our dreams. The ancients believed that our lives were guided by the stars. Emperors would pay huge sums of money to astrologers who believed they could foretell the future. And even today, many still believe the celestial objects have influence over their lives. Dreaming of stars usually represents sleepers' wish to control their fate. A single star appearing brighter than others represents a particularly auspicious development in the near future for the slumbering dreamer." Excuse me for the sneeze.
Yeah, man, sneezes happen.
It was right timing.
Yeah.
That was what he said about stars and planets. What is your take, Wally Cricket?
I don't know, it seems to me that he was dreaming about an atom, but, you know, the idea of dreaming about cosmology and physics, I guess it has a similar parallel.
Well, he mentioned that parallel in his dream.
Oh, he did?
He mentioned that the atoms revolve around their protons or something like that, in the same way that the stars and the planets revolve around the sun.
That's where he got all that from. I guess it makes sense. I looked into Gustavus Miller and his 10,000 Dreams or What's in a Dream, and it says, to dream of the zodiac is a prognostication of a parallel rise in material worth, but also indicates avoid peace and happiness. He didn't dream of the zodiac per se, but just to get in the notion of where he's at. And under the entry for stars, it says, to dream of looking upon clear shining stars foretells good health and prosperity. If they are dull or red, there is trouble and misfortune ahead. To see a shooting or falling star denotes sadness and grief. To see stars appearing and vanishing mysteriously, there will be some strange changes and happenings in the near future. If you dream that a star falls on you, there will be a bereavement in your family. To see them rolling around on the earth is a sign of formidable danger and trying times. So you can see how far back this reaches. It goes back more into the arcane or the occult than it does into astronomy or any sort of modern science, which is where his dream is obviously plunging. So that's why I was hesitant to read those entries before, but since you ventured forth.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And I'm gonna close it with this.
Sure.
And this is from
Right on.
Symbols, Signs, and Dream Interpretation by Mark O'Connell, Roger Airy, and Richard Graves. Goes something like this. On page 79. In the early 20th century, the Danish physicist Niels Bohr studied the structure of the atom, saw in a dream a nucleus with electrons spinning around it, and for his subsequent work received the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1922. Just a little bit more information on that case.
Dig it. This is Journal of the Dreamscapes, or Journal to the Dreamscapes, on the Joseph Vivaldi Network. I am Twilight Cricket, an emissary of the Open Us Network. Go to the Open Us Network on Spreaker.com for audiobooks pertaining to the creative property of Oakwood Publishing. The first novel, Malforia 1, will be getting recorded very soon. Go to Quantum Posy for spoken word and poetry. Go to Temporality Shadow for Paranormal Investigation Podcast, where I read into the spirit radio, and we record what comes out of that wormhole. And when you play it back in slow-mo on the Spreaker app, you'll hear various vocal anomalies and such emerging from the sweep of the AM band. That and much, much more on the Open Us Network. The Open Us Network, audiobooks, poetry, spoken word, paranormal investigation, talk, game development, a creative baptism for every day. Spreaker.com, and check out Amazon Kindle for books of poetry and soon to be the novel.
I'm Joseph Vivaldi of the Joseph Vivaldi Network and the Joseph Vivaldi brand, and I have a few things that I would like to plug. One of my favorite shows of mine on the network is the Ricky and Wolfman Show. It's a very good content. Right now, they're going through Back to the Future trilogy, where they're doing analysis and commentary and just their take on Robert Zemeckis' classics. And also, we have on the network a very good show, and one of our highlights, Spiritus Holographica. a show where they do analysis of many things in history, and if one thing didn't happen, a chain of events could occur. It's a very good show. Also, we've got Book of Seasons, The Journey Through the Years cycle. It's a book. It's going to be available on Kindle and Amazon hopefully soon. And we've got The Soul Warrior's Journey. And if you go to the Amazon site, there's many other books as well too. So, very good. And on that note, I'm going to leave it like this. Enter the dream reality, dream interpretation, dream analysis, and the dream state. This is the Journal to the Dreamscapes. I'm your host, Joseph Vivaldi, and this is
Twilight Cricket. Glad to be here.
Have a good night.
Take care, everyone. Go in harmony.